All right, so looking at how we land the jab against a southpaw, right? Or against an orthodox fighter when we are southpaw. So in a basic way of thinking about it, you know what I mean? We teach all fighters, generally speaking, we're in this stance with our hands up. Our punches originate from this stance and come back to this stance. So when I come out and my opponent's in the orthodox stance, and I'm in the orthodox stance and our spines are lined up, when I throw the jab, it sneaks in between both gloves. And when my partner throws the jab, it sneaks in between both gloves. So the jab is a very effective weapon when we're both in the same stance. The problem comes that when we switch stances, all of a sudden, nope, my partner's still orthodox and now I'm southpaw. So now, as we throw our jabs, they're on the same line. So they just start butting heads with each other. So now I can't just throw and get home because every single time there's gonna be an object in the way. And then what happens is we start reaching out and just kind of keeping our hands out, and we end up in this little hand fight that's so common in the open engagement, right? So closed engagement, it doesn't matter. You just throw your jab and you hit what you hit, right? Once you go open engagement, you can't just sit there and pump away with your jab, and that can be frustrating. So at a basic level, if you're getting jabbed up, you just switch stances, right, and shut down the jab. That said, you look at a fighter like Pernell Whitaker, who's one of the greatest boxers of all time. He's the southpaw, and he has one of the best jabs of all time. So how is he one of the best jabbers of all time when it's impossible to jab from this open engagement? So he's doing a bunch of different stuff to make this happen. Once again, when we're looking at simple basics in the open engagement, when we extend our hands, I want my hand on top, I want my foot outside. So on top and outside is the key to this engagement, right? And generally speaking, that's gonna mean that I can control the lead hand and my rear hand's gonna get through on a straighter path. But if I want to jab, and this is something we're huge about here at Elevate, is using what's called the skipping stone. So I get on top and outside, I knock the jab out of the line, and then I punch through, right? So we're here, boom, boom, boom. So great, I'm on top, I'm outside, and I'm landing jabs by skipping over the hand. The problem is that's gonna start going away, right? So as I start trying to climb the ladder, now my opponent's gonna climb the ladder. Then I'm gonna climb the ladder, then they're gonna climb the ladder. And I'm gonna climb the ladder, and at a certain point, we don't wanna be sitting up here like the Eiffel Tower, so we just back off, right? So now we need to start understanding how different foot positions lead to different outcomes. So switching around, right here, beautiful. So one thing that I think is really important when we're in the open engagement, we wanna use our jab a lot, is throwing a lot of jabs and using where they land to manipulate the next hand position, right? So when I move outside, I'm typically gonna be going over the wrist, right? So I wanna go here and slide over. And this over spot is super key. The second my opponent steps up over top of me, I wanna slide the jab inside. That might mean I just get the jab here on this lead rib, which is a nice shot. I can punch the armpit or the chest, and then sometimes I'll get into the face. There's a good chance that when I go inside and shoot this jab, something's coming over the top. So I wanna bend and roll, right? This is super key. When we're here, if my opponent gets a good read and I shoot this jab, I'm gonna bend away from the next punch, whether it's the lead hand or even the cross. Either way, I'm bending. The problem comes in MMA, they can start going knee. So when we're here, boom, I can get to my takedown there or roll underneath and out the side door, right? So here, over the top, here, underneath, right? And I'm just popping away all the time, punching, punching, punching. I'm trying to annoy their hand. I wanna beat up their wrist, I wanna beat up their arm with just constant pressure. Now, once I start staying outside all the time, my opponent's gonna step their foot outside mine. This makes my cross much harder to land, but it actually makes my jab easier to land. And I can do this one of two ways. So now, my opponent does the correct thing, on top and outside. I step in, and now I've got them teed up. So now I can rip that jab right down the middle. So they step outside, my rear foot steps, and then I pop that jab right down the middle. In the same way that when I shot underneath, either hand can come back, same thing, either hand can come back, bend it. Right? If you watch Pernell Whitaker, he's always in this little bend. So we're here, step, touch, boom. With MMA, it's not gonna be safe to bend and just hang out, so we're probably gonna wanna connect at the hips and then run through. Right? So we're here, boom, they move outside. I step, touch, go. Step, touch, go, right? So one, I might move my rear foot. Another option is to stab with my lead foot. This is the riskiest option. So you gotta be very confident about your takedown defense, right? So we're here, my opponent moves on top and outside, I step forward, and now I'm gonna lunge like a fencing shot. Boom, for the jab. The problem about this lunge is there's a good chance my opponent's gonna end up with a great angle on my back. So I might need to just roll this underhook. I might get past and they might go to my back. Boom, then I grab this lat grip. So whatever we want, but we're understanding that when they step outside, we stab in, and they have this huge angle, and now we gotta pivot back somehow, somewhere, right? So the more you experiment around with this position, the more you're gonna get to those spots. But the great thing is, because this open engagement, Jamie's gonna get in the habit of following my hand, right? We just start fencing with each other, and then wherever my hand goes, she's gonna go with me. So now I can move the hand, right? And I'm constantly, yeah, see? Punching the hand out of the way. When I hit the hand, they turn on the opposite pressure. If I punch it out, then the next time I can slide to the outside. If I punch it in, then I slide to the inside. If I punch it in, T position, bang. So we gotta keep the volume going. The second the open engagement happens, I know my jab accuracy is gonna go down. I don't care about that. I'm throwing to open the hole, right? I know that by suppressing with constant fire, through different, yeah. So now that's very frustrating to deal with, where every time you move, you're getting dealt with, right? So a lot of times we're here, orthodox versus orthodox, boom, we're getting rocked back by the jab. Okay, we gotta take away the jab. Now we go open engagement, and then most times it's gonna be on top, outside, and we both just try to get home better with our rear hand. So it's rear hand versus rear hand versus rear hand versus rear hand. That's how open engagement fights go. If you wanna be higher level, you pull up Sweet Pea Pernell Whitaker videotape, and you watch him work. And you just take over volume, 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 volume. When you're doing your jab only sparring, keep that engagement open and pop away.